teachers and advisors from all around the country. How are you today? Happy to start with this new experience? Okay, I'm Teacher Brian. Now, I want to say thank you for being here with us today in this new activity in elementary education. The first colloquium, English Teachers in Dialogue. Now, let's stand up and listen to our national anthem. Okay, thank you. Now, I will want to give a special welcome to our distinguished guest, Professor Cristian Danilo Cerda Cerda, General Director of Elementary Education in Nicaragua. Professor Eliseo Rivera, Director of Regular Education in Nicaragua. Professor Roberto Pical, Director of Multigrade Education in Nicaragua. Now, let's listen to our General Director with the greetings words and contextualization of this event. Okay, Teacher Cristian.
Muy buenos días, estimadas y estimados maestras y maestros de inglés en educación primaria que participan en este evento y que son los protagonistas principales de este proceso de formación, este proceso abierto al aprendizaje. Muy buenos días, estimados maestros, invitados, expertos nacionales e internacionales. Reciban un cordial saludo de parte de nuestras autoridades superiores, nuestra ministra de Educación, Lilian Herrera, y nuestro ministro asesor de Presidencia, compañero Salvador Vanegas. Saludamos muy especialmente al maestro Nelson Isaac Quiroz Vaca de la UNAM León, Nicaragua, experto en contenidos y metodología para el programa de inglés específicos y máster en la enseñanza del inglés en lengua extranjera. También a la distancia saludamos muy especialmente al maestro Rogelio Chacón de Macmillan Education del país de Guatemala. Él es licenciado en psicología por la Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala. También a Matthew Long de Macmillan Education del Reino Unido, quien se conecta desde este país para compartir la experiencia sobre el tema de la formación docente en educación primaria. Al maestro Dani Alexander Prado Idiáquez de INATEC, Nicaragua, quien nos acompaña presencialmente en este evento, y saludamos también especialmente a la doctora Rosa López de nuestra hermana República de Venezuela y a toda la delegación que también nos acompaña a la distancia de este hermano país. Saludamos a todas las autoridades, a nuestra compañera Daisy Torres, embajadora de Nicaragua ante nuestra hermana República de Venezuela, que también está conectada en este espacio abierto al aprendizaje. Este año el Ministerio de Educación cumple 6 años de haber incorporado a la currícula educativa el aprendizaje del idioma inglés para niñas y niños de educación primaria en escuelas públicas. Esto solamente ha sido posible por el liderazgo de nuestro máximo líder, comandante Daniel Ortega, y nuestra vicepresidenta Rosario Murillo, en aras de fortalecer la calidad educativa, llevar nuevas experiencias de aprendizaje a la niñez nicaragüense y fortalecer la formación integral de nuestras niñas y nuestros niños, de forma tal de que esto pueda impactar en sus vidas, generar desarrollo humano y talento humano para que las niñas y los niños adquieran estas habilidades fundamentales y necesarias ante un mundo cambiante, un mundo que se transforma constantemente, y puedan ellos continuar su recorrido por el nivel de educación secundaria. Para nosotros es una fiesta para la familia, la comunidad educativa y todo el pueblo nicaragüense. Este esfuerzo ha sido todo un proceso de construcción colectiva por todas y todos los actores o protagonistas que día a día hacemos realidad estos esfuerzos a nivel nacional. En nuestro país tenemos 330 maestros en la actualidad que se siguen formando en la carrera técnica, alrededor de 1.850 maestros en educación primaria regular que desarrollan estas habilidades o median estos procesos educativos en las escuelas de primaria regular. Solicitamos y deseamos que este espacio abierto al aprendizaje sean protagonistas todas y todos, podamos compartir experiencias, generar nuevas propuestas innovadoras y alcanzar el objetivo de este coloquio, que se centra en compartir prácticas pedagógicas, experiencias vividas en Nicaragua y en otros países para fortalecer las competencias docentes, tanto en el ámbito metodológico como científico, de quienes día a día dan la batalla por la educación en los procesos educativos a nivel de aula y a nivel de centro educativo. Tengan todas y todos muy buenos días en este evento y nuevamente reitero la importancia en que las maestras y los maestros itinerantes puedan interactuar de manera proactiva en este proceso de construcción colectiva. Muy buenos días.
Okay, thank you, teacher. Now we are more than happy to come with the remarkable intervention of national and international experts. They are going to be sharing with us their knowledge and those pedagogical practice to have a good English learning process in elementary education. Now, being part of the organizer of this event, we have the support of the National Advisor Team for English Learning Strategy in Nicaragua, Professor Margarita Sosa Sosa, Professor Anielka Ofelia Ortiz, Professor Jamín Efraín García, Professor Melquis Manuel Barrios, and your server, Brian Danilo Valle. Now, I would like to share with you the methodology of this activity. Okay. First National Colloquium, Primary English Teachers in Dialogue. As the teacher Christian said, we have the objective to share those pedagogical practice with national and international English experts to consolidate the English communicative competences as a second language in your learning, taking into account the standard of the common European framework of references of languages. Okay? Now we have the guest speakers. Rogelio Chacon, degree in psychology, teacher training, and Macmillan Education. Rosa Lopez Amico, professor of foreign language, master in teaching English. Matthew Long, English coordinator, and especially in curriculum design for educational purpose in primary education UK. Nelson Isaac Quiroz Baca, master in updating contents and methodology for specific English programs. Dani Alexander Prado Idiaques, language specialist from INATEC, English teachers in education. Now, I would like to share, to continue with this activity, I would like to share with the all English teachers a warm-up activity. I know that this activity is online, but I would like to share this to be active, okay? The activity is a colloquium selfie. What we are going to do? Okay, you as a team, you are going to take a selfie, one picture per municipality. Choose one of the hashtags to describe your picture, okay? For example, hashtag is excited teachers, hashtag teachers into action, hashtag strong teachers, and hashtag powerful teacher. You have to choose one of them and take a picture. For example, you have to make movement, do different kind of position or crazy faces, the most happy way, okay? Take a cool picture which paint the amazing teacher we have around the country best. Share just one picture to your departmental advisor with the hashtag you chose. The departmental advisor choose the best picture and share it with the national advisor teams. Okay, during the activity, we are going to collect all those pictures and we are going to share with you at the end of this event, okay? So please take the most beautiful and excited picture. You have to choose your hashtag, your favorite hashtag, take a picture as a team in your municipality, then you have to share it with the pedagogical advisor, okay? Ready? We are going to give you around 2 or 3 minutes to do this activity and let's choose and take your best picture. Please. Remember, you have to choose the hashtag that you like. Okay, continue with this activity. We are going to show you the agenda for today. The topic number 1, experiencia de la enseñanza del inglés en educación primaria en Venezuela, by Mr. Rosa Lopez de Amico. Topic 2, Collaborative Learning Strategies by Professor Dani Prado. Topic number 3, Differentiated Strategies for Young Learners, Professor Nelson Quiroz. Topic 4, How to Promote the Student Talking Time in the Classroom by Rogelio Chacon, Macmillan Education, Guatemala. Topic number 5, Neuroeducation, Attention in the Classroom by Matthew Long, Macmillan Education, United Kingdom. Now, let's listen to our moderator for this activity.
Good morning. Uno, dos, uno, dos. Good morning, dear teachers, advisors, special guests. Being part of this first National Colloquium Primary English Teachers in Dialogue. It is my honor to be a moderator for this relevant event. Before starting the colloquium, let's take into consideration some conditions in order to make this activity as organized as we can. The first condition we need to take into account is that the expert will have 25 minutes to present the premises. During the presentation, they can ask for ideas or interventions of the participants. The second condition for this colloquium is after each premise, teachers will have the opportunity to present their ideas and opinions or asking for any question they have on the matter. They need to be clear and concrete, making effective use of the available time. And the third one is teachers should take notes of the relevant aspect went over on the thematics. After the session, we all together will establish conclusions and synthesize the main observation and commitments. First of all, I would like to thank the experts for taking their precious time out and making part of this event. Secondly, I would want to thank to all of you for being virtually present in this colloquium. Now, I would like to invite our honorable guests to share their knowledge with us. To start, let's receive our panelists from the beautiful country Venezuela, Professor Rosa Lopez. She is going to be presenting the content English teaching experiences in Venezuela. Professor Rosa Lopez, such a nice pleasure having you with us today. Thanks for being here. We are more than ready to listen to your intervention in this relevant event. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, it is a great pleasure to be part of your first National Colloquium Primary English Teachers in Ireland. My name is Rosa Lopez Delamico from the National Training Teachers University, Universidad Nacional Experimental del Magisterio, San Robinson, Valles Arboin, Cuneo, in Venezuela. So the title of my presentation is Teaching of English and Primary Education Experiences from Venezuela. In the latest year, English language in Venezuela has been going through important changes. It has evolved all levels of the education system, and more important, the changes have been promoted from the state level, and this has precisely promoted a good impact on public schools. In order to contextualize this situation, I will mention some information related to Venezuela and the education system. Venezuela has around 30 million inhabitants, and it is divided in 23 states, a capital region with about dependencies. The vast majority of Venezuelans lives in the city of the north and in the capital. The official languages are Spanish or Castilian and indigenous languages. There are some foreign languages brought by immigrant groups, being the most popular ones: Portuguese, Italian, Chinese, Arabic, a variety of German. However, English is the most widely used. foreign language in math in basic school, particularly. It is a compulsory subject in secondary school. We have the system divided in several levels. We have initial education that has maternal and preschool, primary has 6 grades, and secondary 5 years or 6 if it's a technical high school. At the university, most undergraduate career lasts 4 years. In the past, were 5 years. Big changes have taken place in the last 10 years. The teaching of English in Venezuela has a long history. It basically started in the creation of the university. Once it started in the university with the teaching of foreign languages. However, the teaching of English in Venezuela, the university didn't start until the 1940s. In the 20th century, English became a compulsory subject in secondary education in state schools. English was not officially included in primary level until 2007. However, this national policy was not applied nationwide. So English has been official subject at secondary level for several decades. However, the results were poor, as the literature indicates that students didn't know much English after 5 years of secondary level study. The variables have been mentioned in the literature and are many: not enough teachers of English, limited resources and access to textbooks, few hours in the state dedicated to English, relevant to the teacher's training syllabus, and the pedagogical approach to teaching English in upper secondary school. Major changes in education systems started to occur in 2013 after the National Survey for Quality Education, particularly for the English language. It was evidence once more that there was lack of English teachers. The necessity was also identified to contextualize the content and review pedagogical practices to recognize the importance of starting English from primary level, among other things. These findings made possible some major changes and transformation. The project called Microvisión Simón Rodriguez was a special training program for teachers in the service and other university professionals wanting to become teachers in the several areas. This is a national project promoted by the government in order to support to have more teachers in the education system. It represented 2 years of study because participants were already professionals. In Venezuela, that program is called professionalization. Nationwide, 1,282 participants started in the English program in February 2015, and in 2016 was created a specialization graduate program teaching of English for primary education. Now, achievements. It was created the National University, as you can see in your slide, the name Universidad Nacional Experimental del Magisterio, Samuel Ronson, the acronym UNEM, and the most important thing is that this university has a national network of teachers of English, which is impressive, and no other university has it. And of course, the university works together with the Ministry of Education. Besides that, as a program, the teaching of English for initial primary education that started this year has more than 8,000 participants nationwide. It was understood that we couldn't make having English in primary school without having a different focus, and that focus meant having a generalist teacher, or what we call also primary school teachers, to be the ones to introduce the language. There are communications about the process that we have since 2016. Research and publications, as you can see in the slides, have been provided by the Ministry of Education together with the British Council of Venezuela. And besides, there is one book that was published by British Council in Mexico. You can see that on the top bottom of the slide. And it is very important because this publication is in English. And for us, a country that has a blockade, it is important that it's also known the activities we are doing and this can be read by others who don't speak Spanish. In the following slide, you can see the map. And this map shows teachers having places in Venezuela. The red and green circles are from UNED, and the yellow ones are the other universities that also train teachers. But as you can see, UNED is located nationwide. The National Teachers Training Program for Youth Service and New Teachers have been in place since 2015. This has been a big plus as the program takes place in all the states, as you can see in the map in red. So in all the states, there is a possibility to study to become a teacher of English. Besides, the training center in yellow, in which teachers working in primary education can study the rapid program specialized teaching of English for primary education fast diploma. And the university is the only one in the country that offers this program that, as you can see, is successful in all the states. Resources. The presence of English in primary level has been an important step forward. It has been accompanied with resources, but also with a national training process to incorporate generalist scripture the language. The book for students and teachers, as you can see in the slide. In the left side is the student's book, and in the right side is the teacher's book. Besides, teachers who are not studying at the university also have the possibility to participate in training program for their continuing professional development. As for men, we have continued training through webinars, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook. Particularly during pandemic time, we have to restudy the program we had in place. The teaching has been localized in order to support the training of new teachers. The training material for the specialization was also a conjunction between the Ministry of Education and the British Council Council. Now, here we have some experience, and this is, first of all, the radio program in Storytime. It was produced in 2019 with the Speak Discovery Grade 4. In 2021, we applied with great success, and 2023, the program for grades 5 and 6 are completed. The vision is in the process, and we're looking forward to work with them in 2023. So now you will listen the radio program just a bit because we don't have enough time, okay?
British Council Venezuela, el Ministerio del Poder Popular para la Educación, CENAMEC y la UNEM Samuel Robinson presentan Storytime, un recorrido sonoro para aprender inglés y divertirnos. Bienvenidos niños y niñas, gracias por unirse a nuestra sesión de cuentos. Esta es la clase de inglés del profesor Rob, a quien le encanta contar muchas historias. ¿Te gustaría escucharlas? Hoy compartiremos una contigo, así que siéntate cómodamente. ¡Comencemos!
Do you like stories, children? Today we are going to start a new story class. It is called I Want a Pet. Please help me tell the story.
Me encantan los cuentos.
Listen and tell me what you hear.
El profesor Rob y los niños están escuchando el sonido que hacen los animales. Oído al tambor, escucha con ellos. Repite los nombres de los animales cuando escuches el tono.
A cat. Escucho un gato maullando. Está feliz.
A dog. Escucho un perro aullando. Tiene hambre.
A mouse. Escucho un ratón.
Okay, so there are 25 episodes, okay? And in those, there are each one lasts from 10 to 15 minutes. So imagine this being heard in rural communities. In some places, all the family, parents get together in order to listen to that. How we have done that with community radio programs that they work together in conjunction with the state's education office. So that has made it possible to have this spread nationwide, of course, together, combined with teachers training from UNED. Besides that, we also have 10 video demo lessons. All work at examples related with the syllabus phase, and to support, for example, each one is dedicated to a different strategy: classroom management, planning, vocabulary, instruction, commands, and how to use resources. So here I'll show you just a bit of one of the tips, okay, that is addressed to teachers, to generalist teachers.
Un grupo de estudiantes de quinto grado está a punto de recibir su primera clase del nuevo año escolar. Antes de comenzar, planificación y preparación, algo siempre esencial. Noten los dibujos de mascotas que están siendo colocados en el pizarrón. ¿Qué tan importante es el material de apoyo? El maestro quiere saber primero qué nivel tiene el grupo y para ello dedica algo de tiempo para revisar con ellos materia de cuarto grado.
Okay, I need 4 volunteers. Here. Okay. You go to the table number one.
La disposición de los puestos es simple, imparcial y eficaz. La clase es pequeña, de solo 12, y eso hace las cosas más sencillas. El salón en sí también ayuda. Se sientan en mesas y no en hileras, lo cual hace que el trabajo en grupo se dé de forma más natural. La clase comienza con las actividades 1.1 y 1.2 de la lección 1 del libro Grade 4. Antes de ver, primero leamos algunos consejos que aparecen en el libro del profesor. Pongan atención a lo que el maestro debe decir y hacer, pero también a las actividades que realizan los estudiantes. Lo más interesante a la hora de observar una clase es tratar de identificar el impacto positivo que podría tener la interacción entre el maestro y los estudiantes, las distintas actividades que realizan y las oportunidades que tienen los alumnos de practicar. Es posible.
Okay, so those 10 video demo lessons, all to start in the program, they have to have a look at them in order to follow the strategies that are suggested in there. Besides that, in this slide, there is there one paper from one free journal that the university has. This is from Sucre State, in which the experience in Sucre and how they developed these radio programs was conducted. If you want more information, you can approach us so we can just distribute them to you. We can send it to you by email, okay? Now, we also have this example of slides that you have in there of different activities we have conducted nationwide. Last year, in 2022, we went around the national program in all the states in order to have activities to motivate generalist teachers to participate in our program. It's not compulsory, okay? People are volunteer, they go there, and then they receive the information. And the reason, particularly if you are specialists, is because most of the time, generalist teacher might be afraid of being part of the program. However, once they start listening to the experience, they feel that they can make it. And this has been an important component to make them believe they can make it. And I have to say that generalist teachers are indeed very creative, even more than us as a specialist teacher. Now, in here, the Ministry of Education in this school year, 2022-2023, started with 8 curricular emphasis in different areas, and English is one of those. And this is very important because it helps us to continue promoting the activity and the goal to make English being widely known by our school teachers and students in our public schools. I have to say that in the past, just private school put some time to provide English to kids, but it has been a policy from the Ministry of Education that all kids in public school to have the access and to be able to have some knowledge of English. So this emphasis and the one of English is called Cultures and Languages for a Multi-Century, Multicultural and Global Citizenship. It's an initiative from the Ministry of Education, as I indicated before, and English has the privilege to be there. So the academic program was supported and is still supported by UNED, and there has been positive impact that we have received nationwide. And in here, I brought an example from Sucre State. In July, we finished our school year. So a video like this was prepared by each one of the states, and you can see the range, how much we got in there, and the impact it has, because this emphasis was not just for primary level, but also for secondary level as well. So here's the video.
Welcome. How are you? Are you good?
Monkey. Mouse.
So, for example, in this state, as you saw in the video, it covered 14 municipalities. The state has 15. So actually, it's a big plus that just in the first year, with this intention, with this emphasis, we have managed to get 14 municipalities for primary and 12 secondary school. And as this, there are many others. Of course, it has been a long journey to get to here, but we have to say that generalist teachers are a key element in order to promote English from the initial level and in order to avoid having this fear towards the language. So, results. Since 2015, when the team started to be consolidated, the results are many. Many activities, meetings, resources, and documents have been involved. One of the strengths have been to have a team network nationwide that has been created little by little. They are present in all the national geography and have contributed to the training of new teachers and share continuous professional development with many teachers in service. Since 2016, around 5,277 generalist teachers have registered in the new private program to teach English in primary level. This indeed is very meaningful. The challenges are many. For example, the continuity of the program is a challenge. To keep on training new teachers, English syllabus in primary school is in the process of being developed. Continue professional development for teachers in service. Better school infrastructure with connectivity is important. Evaluation is the next step. And of course, the continuity of doing research and publication. But definitely the most complex challenge is represented by the political tension that our country sometimes has been facing due to the heavy blockade. But in any case, The team continued working and we have managed to localize education in different areas depending on the characteristic of the state and of course trying to deliver to them by its own people, not just to build it from the top to the bottom, but also from the bottom to the top, okay? And I do believe that it is very important that all get involved in the process, teachers, not just from primary, but also directors, all the school community and parents. Okay? And we have the experience that in all areas, particularly rural areas, even parents have started going to the school to learn English with their kids. So, well, that's all. And on behalf of the national team and on behalf of the men, we are 34 national coordinators. I would sincerely appreciate them for allowing us to share our experience, and we are looking forward for comments or questions. And if there is no time, the publications are available and we can send them to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for an interesting talk, Professor Lopez. Wow, we are so happy to see and to know your experience on English teaching in Venezuela and try to connect our realities that we are having and we are facing here in Nicaragua and try to look for the similarities that we have with your country. We are so happy to observe your students learning English, communicating in English. We are so happy to have this special event where we can share all of those positive experiences and positive impact that we are as teachers are doing in our countries. Very good teachers. Now, if anyone has any question, I'm sure Professor Lopez would be pleased to answer them. So we will have the participation from Madrid's department, which is located in the north of Nicaragua. Okay, we are going to listen to teacher Marlon Antonio Lopez from Madrid's department. He is going to be sharing a little bit with us related with the presentation made by teacher and Professor Rosa Lopez. Teacher Marlon, go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning to everyone. This is Marlon Lopez.
Morning, Mr.
Good morning. It's a real honor and pleasure to be part of this colloquium and being sharing today my experience and representing the multi-grade team, not only as Madrid, but also for the entire country. So as Teacher Jaime Garcia was mentioning, it's really nice to see how Ms. Lopez was sharing the experience you have had in Venezuela. So we are really proud and happy because you have achieved those goals and there are clear evidences of that. So in this moment, I would like to make to share with you how we as countries, we are alike, right? Because we have been working towards to achieve those goals, which is implementing the English program in our country. So in my case, first of all, I would like to mention that our government and our country, we started with this process of implementing English as a second language in our country in 2018. So as Ms. Lopez mentioned, you started in 2007. It's amazing that all the years and the time you have been working in order to get those goals and in order to prepare your country, right? So in our case, with the regular program in primary education, so we began in 2018. So this year, we are having the first general graduation of our students who are finishing primary education this year. And for us, it's a honor because we are also having good results, good outcomes, and we have a lot of beautiful experiences. Teachers who have been demonstrating that their students, they have been acquiring those skills, those communicative and skills, right? Which is the one that we aim with our approach. And I mentioned that because it's not only that English started in the regular program, we also had that present of the program in multi-grade. Because after seeing all the good results that we have had in primary and the regular program of primary and elementary education, so our government made the decision of going beyond. And then they said, okay, now we're going to be implementing this amazing program in multi-grade schools. So giving the access to those students who live in the rural areas to this amazing learning of English as a second language. So in this case, we have beautiful results as well. So our students, they are demonstrating, and the most important is that they are making English part of their life. They are connecting this language with their context, right? They are now it's wonderful and amazing when we see students in schools who are really far in some areas with difficult access. And when you get there and then the students start saying, hey, hello, teacher, or hi, how are you? And that is really good because we are making the difference as a country. And we really thanks that you're sharing because as Teacher Brian mentioned before, the main aim and the main objective of this colloquium is that we can share each other our experiences as countries. And thank you so much for all the info you share. And every day we are learning more. As teachers, we are growing. We are receiving training as well. So we are learning from experts like you. And thank you so much. And God bless you. Thanks for all you share.
Thank you very much for your comments. And I'm pleased to hear wonderful experiences as well. I invite you to share this information. We have a journal, so you can send that. It's not a peer-reviewed journal, okay? But it's a journal in which you can share news. And this experience for Nicaragua that you are having, it will be important. Now, I have to let you know that the policy in place was in 2007. However, that we couldn't make it because we didn't have enough teachers of English, okay? So even though the government has been created in 2007 to have English in year 4, 5, and 6, we were not able to do it until a program was done in order to train teachers in service, okay? So because we didn't have enough teachers, I mean, it was compulsory in secondary school, and we didn't have enough. So how come we were going to implement that in primary? So that's when the university also decided to have this new graduate program, because this graduate program also means an important input for the teacher's CV. So the government gave this graduate program free of charge to those who wanted to be involved. And the experience started in 2016. Okay, so this is how little by little we started first with 800 teachers nationwide, and then you see how it has multiplied more than 5,000. Okay, so it's one step at a time. But I'm really pleased that you are also doing that from this side, and perhaps the experience with the radio, because in some places it is the only way to manage to get and to have more access. So the radio programs, while we continue training teachers, particularly from the regions, so they can work, because in many places there are no internet connection there. I mean, we have similar problems in that sense. So radio gets everywhere. So this is one of the steps. Okay? So there have been different phases in which we Venezuela have been going through. Okay, and we are still working. We are still working because we are not satisfied with one more. We want to have better results, and that's why, like this place, we are starting with the evaluation part, related with quality education. We also want to know how they are managing and if they have achieved. But so far, to have more groups working together, generally teachers and teachers of English, is a completely change of what we have in the past in the teaching of English in Venezuela. Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you very much, teacher, Professor Rosa Lopez, teacher Marlon, for your intervention, for your participation. If anyone has any question, please raise your hand on the chat box and we are going to allow you to participate in the conversation. In addition, teacher, if you have any questions, you can write it down on the chat box. We are going to be reading for the Professor Rosa. She's going to be answering all of them. So please feel free of participating on the chat box. Okay, thank you, Professor Rosa Lopez. Such a nice pleasure to listen you and to observe all the experiences that you have had in Venezuela. We are so happy and more than happy to observe all your students learning English. Now we're going to continue with the presentation. So we're going to listen the intervention of our second panelist. He is Professor Danny Idiaquez from INATEC, Nicaragua. He is going to be sharing with us collaborative learning strategies. Mr. Idiaquez, we are your audience. Please go ahead.
First of all, thank you to all the attendees to this conference. I know the opening words took place already, but I want to thank you personally. I think you guys are doing a great job with our kids, and the effort you're doing is going to have a great impact in the future of our nation. So I just wanted to extend my gratitude to all of you. To start with the presentation, in my case, I'm presenting collaborative learning strategies. I wouldn't like my presentation to feel like a monologue. Okay. I wouldn't like my presentation to feel like a monologue, and I was told by the moderator in here that I can ask questions to you. So I would like to start my presentation by asking you a question. What do you think is collaborative learning strategies? What comes to your mind when you listen to this concept? I would like to have just one or two interventions maybe. As the name of the presentation, collaborative, I would like to collaborate with you in this presentation. So I'm asking you for your participation, guys. Can I have somebody just, it doesn't have to be something technical. It could be like a concept on your own. What do you think collaborative strategies are? I'm being told that some of you are writing on the chat box. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe you prefer to write on the chat box instead of just participating audibly. It's okay though. Some of you are saying it's tools that help the student interaction, practice, and production. That's something good. But I would really, really like somebody to maybe participate in an oral way to make it more interactive. Okay. Maybe it's too early to start just asking for participation, right? I'm going to continue with the presentation then. Let me go ahead. I'm going to start with some definitions I could find. One of them is collaborative learning strategies refer to a variety of educational approaches involving joint intellectual effort by either students or both, students and teachers together. As the name says, collaborative strategies are all about collaboration. knowledge is built not just by individually work, but by having your students working together on a common goal. Second definition, it involves pupils working together on activities or learning tasks in a group small enough to ensure that everyone participates. That's something else you have to take into consideration. As part of my presentation, I got a slide that it's about the different considerations you have to take into account before starting trying your collaborative learning strategies. But the amount of students you have in your class is something key. You might have an amount of students that allow them to participate equally. Not too many, not too less. As a third definition, I might say, collaborative learning involves working as a group to solve a problem or understand an idea. And as a final definition, it refers to students working together in an attempt to create knowledge and achieve shared learning goals. As you can see, all these definitions got something in common. Collaboration, cooperation. That's the key foundation of collaborative strategies. No collaboration, no learning. Or maybe there should be some learning, but not to the extent that it could be. Also, we got another definition, a little bit more technical. A collaborative learning strategy, also known as CLS, is a strategy that promotes students collaborating as a team in order to solve a problem, fulfill a specific task, or build meaning. These collaborative strategies has a background. We got some experts that theorize on the social components of learning. For instance, we got Lev Vygotsky, who concluded that learning is a social in nature. We cannot dissociate learning and sociability. Human beings are social animals, so it's part of our nature to socialize. And socialization can be a vehicle for learning to take place. He argued that learning from others, known as other regulation, helps learners progress to autonomous learning, self-regulation. Exposure to peers' language development provides students with input that is varied, ultimately leading to greater language comprehension and knowledge. Peer feedback, even if indirect, is critical for language development. As you can see, and I think in your own experience as teachers and as learners too, sometimes we learn more from our peers than from our actual teachers. It comes to something related to proximity and also emotional bounds. When you are with your peers, you might feel more comfortable asking questions. Sometimes teacher might be an intimidating figure in the classroom. So some people feel more comfortable asking a peer. And that is part of learning. Since the person asking is getting feedback and the person who is giving an answer is actually reinforcing concepts. Continuing with the reading, in this same vein, Vygotsky maintains that students benefit from working with more skilled peers in what he refers to as a zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development illustrates the gap between what an individual is able to achieve when learning autonomously and what an individual can achieve with assistance from more advanced individuals. Social interaction stimulates growth, and a strategic pairing on the part of the teacher bolsters cognitive and language development. That is something important to take into consideration. When you are pairing your students or when you are forming groups, it is not a good idea to have just the students with the most developed skills working together. It's a good idea to combine some students with high linguistic level with some students that are developing linguistic skills. So in that way, both of them benefit from each other. The one who knows more reinforces concepts. The one who knows less learns something from the peer. If teachers want to augment the efficacy of instruction, they need to consider the learner's affective filters, ultimately working to decrease them and open students up for learning. Affective filter dictate the anxiety, motivation, self-confidence, and personality traits in individuals. So it would be remiss to ignore this part of the human experience. Teachers need to consider social and emotional learning and rapport building strategies. Make students feel comfortable in the learning environment, getting them ready to learn from and engage with their peers in a meaningful collaboration. Affective filter is something sometimes we as teachers forget. Human beings got emotions. Our students are not robots, they are not machines. They got feelings, and these feelings might affect in a positive or a negative way the way our students are actually internalizing concepts and developing skills. This being the matter, it is important for teachers to try to create a friendly environment in which our students feel comfortable, an environment in which they don't feel threatened to make mistakes, an environment in which they might feel motivated to try and make errors. That's something we have to promote as teachers. It's something key. Sometimes we just think that learning and teaching is something about concepts and just giving them theory and stuff. But really, the emotional part is so important and key. With collaborative strategies, there are some benefits. I brought 6 of them. The first one is improves problem-solving skills. Working through a problem or an assignment as a group can help students develop their own problem-solving skills. Nowadays, we're working with the concept of the 21st century skills. One of them is critical thinking. And critical thinking is related. It comes hand to hand with problem solving. The best way to develop critical thinking is by trying to solve problems. It is a good idea for you to try to challenge your students. Obviously, we're talking about elementary school, so the problem has to be contextualized to the age and to the linguistic level of your students. But it doesn't mean it cannot be done in elementary school. You might ask them something simple, maybe to make a drawing of their best friend, or something simple like describing mother or father, for instance. Another benefit brought by collaborative learning strategies is that it encourages social interaction. Throughout this process, learners practice and develop social skills, such as active listening, empathy, and respect. This is key for the future development of our kids. Take into consideration that our students are going to be employed in different companies in the future. And in these job positions, they might be able to interact with other people. Soft skills are so important. They need to learn from a very early age how to socialize with people, how to be empathetic, how to deal with social situations. So this component is very, very important in our kids' development. As a third benefit, it promotes diversity, brings together people of various backgrounds, beliefs, education levels, and ages. That's something else that is key. These days, diversity is something we have to promote. We have to teach our kids to be open-minded and to accept people for what they are, not criticizing their beliefs, their gender, their skin color. This component is so important. We are working with the next generation, basically. And if we don't teach them how not to be critical, or how not to criticize, better said, people just because they're different, we're going to be making something great for our nation as well. As number 4th benefit, we got improves communication skills. Learners might also have the opportunity to improve written communication skills if the assignment involves tasks such as group writing or peer editing. By working together as teams, our students are able to put into practice their linguistic skills, mainly speaking and writing. Remember that the purpose of a language is to communicate. We teach languages as part of a pensum or a program, but we don't have to lose the focus that the main goal of a language is to communicate, either in a spoken or written way. So by having students working with collaborative strategies, we're reinforcing these abilities. As a number 5th benefit, we got inspires creativity. Combining different views and ideas can result in creative solutions to collaborative learning assignments. I truly believe that creativity is something that can be taught. Some people believe that creativity is something innate, that people are born with this. But I disagree with this. I think we can teach creativity to our kids. Creativity comes when somebody has a problem or when somebody is given a task. So you have to think about a way to do something, or maybe to get a process, to get some improvements to a process that already exists. I truly believe that creativity is a component we have to add to our teachings. And as a 6th benefit, we got develops critical thinking skills. I talked a little bit earlier about this when I was mentioning something about problem solving. They come hand to hand. Critical thinking is key these days. Nowadays, in companies or in projects, we are asked to think in a creative way and to have our own ideas. We don't want our students to just repeat something we teach them. We want them to be innovative, to create something new. So that's why we have to include critical thinking as part of our teachings too. These are some considerations you might just reflect on before applying collaborative strategies. One of them is start with a clear goal. Use a learning goal to guide your instructional plans and determine how collaboration can help learners achieve that objective. Sometimes we might bring an activity with good intentions, but if we don't think clearly about what is the objective of that activity, it might not lead to good products. Our students might do something, but that something might not be the expected outcome. That's why before we start planning to apply a collaborative strategy, we have to think in a critical way, what is the objective of it? Second, share specific expectations. Explain to students exactly what you expect each team to accomplish. That is something that also we forget as teachers. Sometimes we explain the activity, we assign the tasks, we make the groups or the pairing, but we never tell our students what is the expected outcome. It is important for them to know in advance what do we expect from them. So in that way, they can try to fulfill our expectations in the best way possible. As a third thing to take into consideration, we got monitor groups. That is something else sometimes we forget to do. We assign the groups or the pairing. Students are working, but as a teacher, you have to be with them. Not all the time, but you have to be checking what they're doing. Because if you don't do it, your students might take a different path. Maybe some of them misunderstood your instructions and they need reinforcement. So as a teacher, you have to be dependent on your students. Then we got provide time to reflect. Provide learners with enough time to discuss their thoughts on the collaborative process together. It is essential also that the whole collaborative strategy is not just students doing something. You have to allow them, or you have to give them time for them to discuss what they're doing, to actually reflect the importance of the assignment they are just working on. So in that way, they can get the most from the activity. Also, set the rules of language and collaboration. Take the time to teach students how to clarify issues, how to paraphrase, how to disagree constructively, and how to build on what others have contributed. This is something else that is very essential. You have to establish the language rules. For some teachers, using mother tongue is something that is not good. For some of the teachers, they might have a different opinion. They think mother tongue can be something useful. Particularly, I think maybe balancing both is something good. But it's important for you, before starting working on the collaborative strategy, to establish the rules. Are you going to allow them to use mother tongue? Are you going to restrain them just to use target language? That's something you have to clarify before they start working. Also, you have to teach your students how to be tolerant. Sometimes when you're working as a group or as a team, disagreement might be something that you have to deal with, but they need to know what activities or what strategies, better said, they should apply in order to disagree in a constructive way, in order not to hurt the feelings of other people, right? To make it constructive. Then we got size the groups for maximum effectiveness. At the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned something about this. It is important to take into consideration how many students you have in your classroom. According to the amount of students you have to make the pairing or the grouping. Too many students can hinder learning because you are not giving enough spoken time to each student. But if you have too little amount of students in a group, it might take you to be a little bit boring, because if the activity is not long enough, they might just finish the activity right away. So you have to be careful when choosing the grouping and the pairing. Another consideration is to play a game to get students warm up. Sometimes your students are not ready to start working right away. So it's a good idea to start with a game just to activate acquisition language device and to help them to get in the emotional state for learning. This is so essential for students. Okay, now I'm going to share with you some common collaborative strategies. The first one is think, pair, and share. For this activity, students must work independently first. You assign a task to them. It could be maybe writing the daily routine. It could be maybe writing a list of their favorite objects. Maybe writing a list of their relatives, family members. And then you have your students coming together and share what they have in an oral or written way, or both. In this way, first you allow the students to have this independent work time for them to think and work on the activity. And then you have them exchanging ideas. Personally, this is an activity I like using in my lessons when I teach. Another good activity is problem solving. For problem-solving activities, you introduce a specific problem to students. Usually, this works better if you make it in a group setting. It might work with pairs, but it might be a little bit too extended for two people to work on such a big task. I would recommend you to work with problem-solving in groups. You establish a problem, and then you ask your students to think about solutions to that problem. For instance, you might have your students thinking about some strategies or some ways to reduce pollution, which is something that is affecting us these days. Or maybe you might have your students to think about different strategies to improve discipline in the classroom. Then you might have your students working with another group and exchanging ideas. We also have simulations. Students get in small groups and simulate a daily activity. This is what we called, or we refer to as role plays. You might have different activities. Like, for instance, you might have your students role playing a dialogue in which one of them is going to the grocery store asking for a product, and another student is the clerk giving the products. Or you might have your students maybe role playing an interaction in a bank, one student being the representative of the bank, the other one being the client. Also, we got another strategy called per editing. This mostly refers to students writing a specific, maybe not just paragraph, but pieces of writing, and have other students edit it. For instance, you might have your students writing something like the description of their pet, and then they exchange the writings and they edit, and then they discuss the different editing. We also got group discussion. This is very typical. You might have your students separated in groups of 4 or 5, and you assign in a specific topic. For instance, let's talk about music. What do you think about music? What kind of music you like? How does music make you feel, etc. And you have your students discussing on this, giving their personal opinion on the matter. And to finish, we got jigsaw, which is another activity that might work for small groups in which you prepare a text in advance. The text can be related to any topic you're covering, mainly said daily routines or modal verbs. And you have this text prepared, but then you section this text in different parts. You give the different parts to each member of the group, and the task is actually to reestablish the text itself. So they have to work together to see how the text is. And that will be my presentation. Thank you for paying attention. I think we're gonna have 10 minutes time to exchange ideas. So if you are willing to participate, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dani Diakes, for your valuable interventions. Now we are going to listen some teachers from all around the country, specifically from León and Chinandega department. So we're going to start with teachers from Chinandega municipality. They will share with us some questions or some comments that they have on the presentation that teacher Dani has already done. So teachers, please feel free of participating. Chinandega municipality can participate right now.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, mister. Could you turn on your camera, please?
Okay, receive a cordial greeting from the English teacher of the Chinandega department. For us, it's a great opportunity to share with you this time. I say this for me and the whole group of the teacher here, okay? So the topic addressed has been very interesting and important. And thanks for sharing with us. But now I have a short question. In this case, I have two. Could you emphasize to us what advantages we have when applying this type of learning? And the second question is, what role does the teacher play in a collaborative learning environment? Yes, mister? Do you catch the question well? Well, teachers,
Hello, Mister.
yes, I did two questions, right?
Yeah, what was the first one?
Okay, the first question was, can you emphasize to us what advantages we have when applying this type of learning? And the second one, what role does the teacher play in a collaborative learning environment?
Yeah, I mean, there are different roles. One of them is to monitor your students when they are working. Another one is to clarify your students when they have a doubt. Maybe there is one specific word they don't know, so you might help them clarify the meaning of the word. Another role could be as an instructor, you give instructions to students. Sometimes you provide instructions, but some students don't get the instructions. Maybe they don't internalize the instructions fully, so you might be there for them to reinforce instructions. Another role is, as I mentioned before, in the case when you have uneven groups. If you have one student that doesn't have a group because that person came in late or something, it's a good idea for the teacher to play the role of a student and interact with the student as a student so the person can work on the task. Those I would think are the main roles a teacher can play with collaborative strategies.
Okay, thank you, Mister, for your intervention. Thank you, Teacher Danny, for all your support in this event, in this colloquium. Now, teachers, we are going to make an activity. So most of you have access to your cameras. Would you like to turn on your camera on, please? So we will have 50 participants right now. So as you can see, teacher, you already have access to your cameras. So 50 teachers or 50 users in this colloquium have the access to the conference. So please turn your camera on. We're going to make an activity. Turn your camera on, please. Okay, I can see some of you. Okay, León Equipo Técnico is with its camera on. So teachers, okay, we have Minet Nikinomo, Minet Dolores, Minet Villanueva, we have Minet Boaco, Minet Cusmapa, Comalapa. Perfect. So turn your camera on, please. All of you. So, okay. So we have Minet Lapa Centro, Minet Cusmapa, Minet Chichigalpa, Minet Palacagüina, Minet Granada. Okay, perfect, teacher. Please turn on your cameras. So remember, 50 of you are going to have the access. We have chosen randomly, please. Okay, here we have Minet Comalapa, Minet del Ayote, so Minet San Jorge. Perfect, teachers. Very, very good. Okay, teacher from Chinandega, would you like to turn off your microphone, please? Okay, perfect. Thank you, mister. Very good. So now, can you see all the cameras around the country, teachers? Okay, put your thumbs up, please. So I think you can see all our teachers around the country on your screen, right? Yes, teacher. So as I told you before, we will have access just for 50 teachers. Okay, so the activity is basically just follow the leader, or so you're going to perform actions, right? So if we say, let's practice some common commands that we say or we tell to our students, right? Let's say stand up, and everybody please stand up. Everybody please stand up. Stand up, perfect, very good. Everybody stand up, please. Everybody stand up. Stand up, teachers, stand up. Okay, very good. So, Minet Boaco, please stand up. Okay, very good. Excellent. Thank you, teachers. Very good. So now, raise your hands, please. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Very good. Excited teachers. Sit down. Sit down. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Keep stand up, teachers. Now turn around, misters and ladies. Turn around, please. Turn around. Very good. Excellent. Okay, so now the opposite, right? If I say stand up, you're going to sit down. If I say sit down, you're going to stand up. Okay, stand up. Sit down. Very good. So now dance, teachers. Dancing. Very good. Excellent. Jump. Jump. So now when I say jump, you are going to dance. When I say dance, you're going to jump. Jump. Dance. Dance. Very good. Stand up. Okay, very good, teacher. Now let's move quickly, right? I'm going to ask for an object and you're going to put it on the camera, right? You're going to put it in front of the camera. So I'm going to tell you an object, an object, and you're going to look for it and put it in front of the camera. I'm going to say what is the teacher that did it firstly, right? So, a 200 bill, teacher. Would you like to look for a 200 bill? 200 bill. So look for the object and put it on the camera. 200 bill. Okay, excellent. Minet Rack, perfect. Costa Caribe Norte, excellent. They were the first. Okay, very good. 200 bill. So now look for a sharpener. Look for a sharpener. Look for a sharpener. Okay, Chinandega, very good, excellent. Teachers from Chinandega. Okay, so I need someone who is wearing a red t-shirt or shirt in front of the camera. Mine del Viejo, excellent, very good, perfect, teachers. Okay, so now I need a lady who is wearing something yellow. A lady who is wearing something yellow in front of the camera. Okay, very good. Minella Pacentro, we're the first one. Okay, excellent. Okay, so now another command, but teacher from Chinandega, you are not going to participate because this is easy for you. Someone who is wearing glasses. Someone who is wearing glasses, right? Okay, I think La Paz Centro, Miner Granada, perfect, very good. So I think Sector Minero too. Okay, very good. Okay, can you look for a 500 bill, please? 500 Cordoba's bill. Okay, Minet Chichigalpa. Okay, we have the origins. Minet Boaco, Minet El Viejo. So I think you have more money than us. Congratulations, teachers. So the last one. Okay, Minet Kuzmapa too. Excellent. Very good. The last one, teacher. So, can you put it in front of the camera? The Nicaraguan flag. The Nicaraguan flag. Nicaraguan flag. Okay, Chinandea, it's easy for you. So, okay, so the Nicaraguan flag. Okay, Minet. Okay, Comalapa. Excellent. Nandaime. Very good. La Paz Centro, El Jícaro. Palacagüina. Very, very good. Thank you, teachers. Okay, San José de los Remates. Very good. So now clap your hands. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, teachers, for moving fast. So we're going to continue with the presentation. It was just like a warm-up activity, right? So we're going to continue with the presentation. Now it's time to listen to Mr. Professor Nelson Quiroz. He is from Unan León, Nicaragua. He is going to be sharing with us the content differentiated strategies for young learners. Differentiated strategies for young learners. So, Mr. Nelson Quiroz, it's your turn. So, we are more than ready to listen to your intervention, mister.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Very good, okay, teacher. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to share the screen. Well, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here today with you and talk about this very important topic that sometimes we put in practice in our classroom, but sometimes we forget that we have children with different abilities in our classroom and we apply the same strategies or the same method for all the students. The presentation I'm gonna do is titled Differentiated Strategies for Young Learners. Can you see the screen?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what is differentiation in the classroom? We're talking about the strategies that we can use for teaching different students. And one of the concepts is that differentiation is a teaching approach that modifies instructions to meet the individual needs of students. Also, the teacher can differentiate in various ways, such as through the process of instruction, the content being taught, and the resources used of the learning environment. So we can differentiate in all those aspects. We said before the process, the content, the resources, and the environment for learning. Why? Because we need to reach what are the needs of every student in our classroom. As you know, we all learn in a different way. We never had the same way for that maybe I was learning when I was a child as now as a secondary as adult. For this, we have some misconceptions of what is the truth about differentiations in the classroom. So here we have okay, I have problem with this. Okay, can't see it. I can see that's stop moving. Can you see that? Hello.
Okay, teacher.
Okay, so I have problem with my presentation. I think it's just stuck. Let's see what happened. Okay, here we have it. Was stuck.
Perfect.
Okay. So when we are talking about differentiation, we have some misconceptions and the truth. Some people say that differentiation is new and later for the education, but that is not true. Differentiation is an old as craft of the teaching, and it never go out of style. So always we can do differentiation in our classroom. Also, we said that the differentiation is a set of strategies, tools, or teaching tricks. But no, differentiation is the philosophy and model for effective teaching and learning that go beyond the strategies. When we make differentiation, we have a set of strategy, but we move beyond our set of strategy that we are used to use in our classrooms. Also, we said that differentiation requires writing individualized lessons plans for every student, but that is not true. Differentiation calls for instructional adjustment that respond to patterns in a student's needs, right? As we said before, we need to meet our students' needs. And so we only need to make arrangements, different arrangement to our classes in our plans, not to have a different plan for every one of the students. Also, it is said that differentiations relies on leveling students through ability grouping. And no, differentiation relies on flexible grouping for a variety of community building instructional process. So we can have the same group, but using different strategy for each one of the students, but it doesn't mean that we have to create a plan for every one of the students. And also, it is said that differentiation is better for easier in or some grade levels of subject than others. No, the truth is that differentiation is for all grades, levels, and subjects. Each subject and grade level presents unique opportunity for all the challenges and planning for differentiation. In every class, we can have a different style or different use different materials to teach our students in order to accomplish the main goal for our classes that are communication. And also, differentiation is just another name for good teaching, but no, differentiation is rooted in good teaching, but good teaching is not always differentiated, right? So we are not going to say that if we have a differentiation in our classroom, we are becoming good teachers, but that is not true. We become good teachers when we create an atmosphere and an environment that our students can learn easily, having fun. Okay, I'm changing slides. I don't know what this gets stuck sometimes. Okay, let's come in the next one. Okay, for differentiation, instructional differentiation, should be clear about the learning styles. What are the learning styles for our students? As we should remember that we have auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learners. But in all this package of learning styles, we should make our plans for cover almost all the styles of our students. And also, we can create an atmosphere where we can have different settings for our students to feel good with the learning or the project we are doing in our classes. So that means that we should create materials that involve visuals, involve kinesthetics, and involve auditory movement or auditory exercise for our students in the classes. But when you say, how can I find out what are the styles of the learning style of my students? Well, that is easily. So we can implement, for knowing what are the styles of our students, we can implement mini surveys to identify the ways they feel they learn better. So we can say, okay, we are going to present this video, and please tell me if you feel comfortable learning through watching something and hear something to the television. The next one is doing small interviews also with our students to explore what are the interests of the students in learning. Because sometimes we plan our topics, but we don't know what are the different interests that our students have according to the plans we have. Also, we have to identify a service strategy for students to work all together easily. We can make a plan for selecting, giving our student a set of strategy to select with the one they feel better. Maybe one student feel better reading than watching a TV or hearing a song. So we can provide them opportunity to choose themselves in the way they feel better in the process of learning. Also, we can create supporting materials to cover the main learning styles. As I said before, we have to create materials that cover all the aspects of the learning styles: visual, kinesthetic, auditory, musical. Maybe some of the students have a mathematical learning style. So we should create a complete plan for our lessons to cover each one of the learning styles for students. Okay, maybe you say, how can I implement differentiation in my classroom? And this is very easy. Here I present a model in which we can create our learnings, our plan for doing differentiation in our classrooms. So as I said before, we can differentiate in the adjustment, making practical adjustments in our classes in the content, the process, or the product. In the contents, if we have a specific book, we can create materials that cover the book lessons, but also we contextualize, we implement our context, and also the way we are going to approach to the students in the topic. We can create easy materials, or we can create connection with the lessons we are going to present and the things they already know before the lessons. Also in the process, we can create different places or different activities in order they perform in a good way. If I feel better moving, so I can create an activity that students will enjoy by doing something in the classroom, and they'll I can link this with the product I want to have, that is to reach a goal. So I will see that my process will let me to allow getting that goal. Also, we can create a adjustment in the profile that we are doing in the interest of the students. So we can say, okay, we are going to talk about environment, but how would you like to talk about the environment? What will be your interest in talking about this? Also, in this plan, we are using instructional stages like organizes, tired tasks, think dots, learning stations. We can have different places. For example, in our classroom, we can have in the four corners of our classroom, we can have different materials in order to catch the attention of the students. But also, we need to establish this differentiation with the standards that we are following. As we follow this common European framework, we can select materials that is accordingly to the standards that we are proceeding at, the standards that we want to reach. So we never have to let out the standards, because the main goal is to get the standards to make students speak, but also they should have a different way to learn. We should offer different opportunities in the classroom in order to reach all the aspects for the language. Also, the context is important and is a very supportive aspects for this. As I said before, we can use the lesson as the model, but we can contextualize all the exercises according to the things we are studying or according to the interests of the students. Remember, we have different students' ages in the classroom. We have very young learners, youngest learners that are maybe from preschool to 5th grade, and we have young learning from 6th grade to the high school. And in all this process, we should take into account the different way they have to learn and how they can develop the language in order to get communication. Okay, we just say, when can I use, or when should I use a differentiate instructions in my classroom? Well, I should use a differentiate instruction in my classroom when I have different abilities in students. I can have a student with high abilities in the process of learning the language. They can learn the vocabulary very fast. They can develop all the activities very fast. I should have something extra for those students that are very fast or maybe hyperactive in the classes. So this is the way I'm going to attend and make a differentiation for them in order to reach the same goal that we have in our lessons. But also, we can have the opposite. We can have a student that are very slow in learning the vocabulary, very slow in writing the task, very slow in doing the activities. So in this way, I'm going to make a balance between the student who are who has a high ability and the student who have a low or middle ability in order to accomplish my goals in the class and have the same level in the learning that I wanted to do. What are the benefits for doing differentiate instructions in our classroom? Well, some of the benefits is that it'll help the teachers to connect with the abilities that a student has and also the way of they learn. We give students a choice about how they can reach their own objectives and also how we can reach our general objectives in the lessons. We can make a differentiated student by giving opportunity to keep pace of their learning. So, as I was said before, I should have a different way of teaching with the students who are very active, very who has a high ability in learning, but also I should level them with the students who are very slow in doing the activities. In this way, the differentiate teaching and differentiate strategies will work to accomplish my lesson plan. Also, the differentiate instructions motivate students to learn with the material we are providing. As I was given the example, we can create a lesson where we implement a video, where we implement a lesson, where we implement moving. And that is the way the students will motivate. They will feel that something is being doing for them, and they will get the interest in learning the vocabulary or the structures there we can develop in any plan, in any lesson plan. Okay, next one's coming. Okay, for applying the differentiate teaching strategies, in general, the teacher should provide first, a warm and effective environment in the classroom. Create simple routines in the activities and the transitions we are doing the activities from simple to complicated or from complicated to simple activities. Also, we can provide a variety of activities that involve the same lesson of the same plan, the same objective in different ways to approach our students in the classroom. A particular and holistic use of the language. We cannot just focus on one type of vocabulary for the moment in the class. So we can use previous vocabulary that we have been teaching in our classroom, so we make the connection from previous experience they have with another lesson and the new lesson. And also, we should provide opportunities to move around and practice. This is very important for young learners, to move around the classroom and have a practice, but the teacher should have control of these activities. We should have short activities in order to produce the target language we want to develop in them and that we want they to learn. And also those activities will be meaningful for them because they can be motivated in order to practice the language by moving and practices. Differentiate structures is provided in the classrooms when we offer options for students to choose and complete the assignments of the lesson plans. Also, we make differentiation when we provide multiple text and types of learning materials. Also, we make a differentiation when we use a variety personalized learning. We can talk to students if we identify that some of the students is not working properly or the way we wish he has to do, and so we can approach to him or her and talk and say, what is happening to you? What would be different if we change this activity? Or how can you can perform this activity in a different way? We should be always focusing on our student and identifying what happened with them in order to have an attention, a differentiate attention, and accomplish our plans. Also, we can customize our teaching to suit multiple forms of intelligence, as I said before. We can use different ways of moving, chants, we can use grammar charts, we can use the television, we can use our cell phones in the class in order to make students feel comfortable and motivate to learn and practice the language we want at the moment. Also, for our student, it is important the way we deliver the work, the way we are going to make them work. We can make them work in groups or individual, and also they can have fun. We can work with the whole class. And in doing activities that involve, even the teacher can practice these activities with them, and not only give instruction, but also being part of the students doing the same activities with them. Here, I will present you an example of a video where a person explained how you can use differentiate instructions in the classroom. Please watch the video carefully, and when we can have some questions, a periods of questions and answers.
I'm wearing socks. Andrew's vision.
Professor Nestor, sorry, we cannot listen in the video. We cannot listen the video. Just we're observing, but there is no audio.
There's no audio?
Yes. So
okay, let me see
just the
how
video,
can I
but not
fix
the
it.
audio.
But not audio. Okay, let me see. Okay, we said they have audio. Can you hear?
Teacher.
Can you hear?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Recognize. Recognize.
Sorry, teacher Nelson. Teacher Nelson, we cannot see the video and there is no audio too.
Sorry, you're not listening?
We
I don't
cannot
know what-
watch the video and there is no audio too.
Okay, I don't know what's happening. Okay. I don't know
Okay,
what's
Professor, due to the time, we can move the next part of your presentation.
Okay, yes,
So
yes,
please.
okay. No problem. Okay, so in the video, the teacher explaining, he was saying that we need to know what are the talents of our students and also what make them different in the way they learn and also in the way they perform all the activities that they do every day. In the way we perform our activities is the way we are, and also we are connecting to the way we learn. He was saying that one of the students he identified in his classrooms was very disappointed, was not connected with the class. So he approached to him and talked and say what was the things that was calling their attention. And the student expressed that he was thinking about the football game. So the teacher asked him to write an essay about football, and the student was very successful in writing the essays about football because it was his interest. And also the student's mother said that she was surprised because it was the first time that his son was writing an essay for the school. So at the end, he explained in the video that this is very important. To make a differentiation in our students is very important because, as the phrase said before, to being just is not being equal for our students. We can think that we have something that is for all the students in general. They can have the same situation for learning. They can have the same opportunity, but maybe it's not the best way. So we need to be careful in the way we are delivering our classes, in the way we are planning our classes, especially with young learners and younger learners. Remember, they like to move, they like to play in the classroom, and they have different interests in the way they can learn. We can use a different method for them. One of the very used methods in the classes for primary school is the total physical response. And students are very enthusiastic when we play with them, when we give directions for moving, for doing, they are very pleased. But maybe this method won't work perfectly in high school. So that is the way that we need to think what are the different activities that we can implement in our classrooms. For this, some of the suggested differentiated strategies, we can create learning stations with different materials in the class of English. Also, in these learning stations, we can make a connection between the other subjects they are taking during the classes. We can make a connection with the natural sciences, we can make a connection with social sciences, and we can get the attention of the students to know something about history and they can express in English, to know something about social issues in the classroom that they can express in English. And this will motivate them and also will call their attentions. We can use task cards for our students, especially in primary school. We can do small cards with expressions or small cards with a different activity for each one of them in order to accomplish, but always focuses on the general plan we have. We can interview students about the way they feel during the activities or the way they feel during the lesson plans that we were developing with them. We can target different senses within the lessons. We can do visual, we can do kinesthetic, we can do musical activities. So in this way, students will feel motivated and they will feel that the English class is getting fit with their interests, is shaping the way they are learning and the way they can use the language. Also, we can share the strengths and weaknesses they have. We can have small groups and say, okay, students, it is time to express how do you feel during the lessons. And so they will be able to explain, well, it was easy for me and it was difficult for me in this way. So they can, and you as teacher can take notes and improve for the next time. And also we give keys for doing the differentiation in the classrooms. Also, we can use the think, pair, share strategies. We can make students to think what strategy was better for them in, for example, learning the vocabulary. And these students can share with their classmate the strategies that was successful for him, and maybe that will work for the next students. Also, we can make time for journaling. We can make students to interview themselves and write a short paragraph about how was each one of them feeling at the moment of doing the activities, and implement reflections and goal setting exercise. So we can make our general plan always should be based on the goals we want to accomplish, that is communications. And so we need to set a small goals or small objectives in order to accomplish the big one in our lessons. Well, thank you. That was my intervention. If you have some questions or comments, I'm here to hear you and answer the questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Quiroz, for your interesting talk. So now we will have the interventions of teachers from Jinotega. They have some questions for you, teacher.
Okay.
So, teachers from Jinotega, we are ready to listen to you. Minet Jinotega, please raise your hand.
I'm here waiting for the question.
Teachers from Jinotega, so we need to know what is your user in the conference, right? So the user is Inglés Municipal Jinotega. Okay, teachers from Jinotega, so you can participate now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Morning, teacher, absolutely. Could you turn on your camera too, please?
All right, give me a second. Hello, good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with you. My question is, what are the key principles and consideration teachers should keep in mind while designing, implementing differentiated strategies for young learners to ensure equitable learning opportunities for all students?
Okay, one of the principles are the different ways that students learn. As I was saying in the presentation, we should know or identify how all our students learn better the language. So we can make a small survey or we can observe during the activities how the students are performing the task. And in this way, we can have the focus on the learning styles. That is one of the principles we should have in mind, the different learning styles they have. And in this way, we have to prepare our lessons plans, having the same topic but different activities. As in the presentation said, we should provide them the opportunity to move around, to participate, to express their interest. And in this way, we are going to create a differentiation. Even if we have a class of 20 students, we can make different activities with them. We can group students with the same interest, or we can group students with a different interest. But the main principle that we have is the different learning styles. We should focus on the way they can learn better, on the way they can have a significant learning during the class.
Thank you very much, teachers from Jinotega, for your question, and thank you very much, teacher Nelson Quiroz, for your intervention. We were so happy to listen to you. So now we are ending up with this presentation, and let's continue with the third premise, and we're going to listen to Professor Rogelio Chacon from Macmillan Education, Guatemala. He is going to be sharing with us how to promote students' talking time in the classroom. Professor Chacon, we are more than ready to listen to you. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. Do you hear me?
Morning, teacher. Absolutely.
Okay, that is fantastic. So good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here with you. And I know that we're a little bit behind with the time, so I'm going to get this straight to the point. All right? Good. Just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen, please.
Yes, it is, teacher. We can observe it.
Okay. Awesome. Good. As you know, teachers, the name of my talk is How to Promote Student Talking Time in the Classroom. And a lot of what we have been learning today has to do with it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to share with you is something that my previous colleagues have mentioned before. And it is that we have to create a positive environment in the classroom. So we can have a lot of strategies, techniques, activities, but if the students don't feel safe in the classroom, then learning is not going to happen. So the first thing that we want to guarantee as teachers is safety for students. Okay? But not only safety, like physical safety, right? I mean, you don't want them to be hurt or something like that. No, safety because they feel part of a group. They feel that they belong to the class, and it is the teacher's job to make the students feel like that. Okay? So that is the first thing, safety. Second one is engagement. If your students are not engaged with whatever you're teaching, they won't be willing to participate. And again, learning won't happen. So you want to engage the students with activities they like, topics they are into. And also, you have to understand your students' needs. So this is something that is like, let's say, basic. However, it's not simple. It is complex because it requires the teachers to be updated with your students' needs. In my case, you're not asking me, right? But I'm 43 years old. And if I'm teaching first grade, for example, it is pretty difficult for me to understand their needs. But if that is my job, I should know the TV shows they watch, the kind of music they like, the games they play, and the hobbies they have, right? So I can bring that to the classroom and students will make connections to their lives. And that's where learning happens. Okay? So that is the second thing. So the first one was safety. The second one is engagement. The third one is connectedness. Okay? So students need to be connected, but teachers want the students to be connected. There needs to be a connection between student and teacher, between student and student. Okay? Because if they're working alone by themselves, then nothing is going to happen. And for my particular objective today, which is communication, it won't happen if I am working alone, if I am working on my own. All right? And the third one is support. Of course, teachers, we have to support students in the classroom. We have to support students outside the classroom. This is something pretty interesting. I learned when I was young, imagine, a long time ago. And it is that teachers needs to be, teachers need to be present, not only in the classroom. You need to make the students understand that you're going to be there for them outside the class as well. Okay? So take the time to approach your students and get to know them. If those four things happen before carrying out communicative activities, then communication is going to be a piece of cake. All right? Good. But I'm pretty sure that you already knew that. So I'm going to start talking about something that I guess I can share with you today. And it is why communication is so difficult in the class. There are many, many reasons, but today I'm going to share some with you. The first one is students don't want to speak. They don't want to. All right? They go like, yes, no, I don't know. Uh-huh. Like that. And they really don't want to talk. They lack required vocabulary. Meaning, teachers are not providing the students with the right tools for the students to speak, for the students to produce. Okay? So, lack of vocabulary. Then, they are afraid of making mistakes because people or peers or classmates are going to laugh at them. And sometimes, this is cruel but true sometimes, teachers also laugh at students. And that's something they don't want to be part of. Then another reason why students don't participate is they use their native language in groups or pair work. And that's why all that we have heard during the morning, monitor the students, motivate the students, give them clues, motivate them, so it is here. But the question is, why do they use their native language? In our case, it is Spanish, right? It is because they don't have access to the right tool. We need to make sure, teachers, we give the students the right expressions or everything they need to express themselves in English in the classroom. Little posters, right? How do you say florero in English? Right? Or teacher, what's the meaning of? Teacher, I didn't understand. Teacher, can you repeat? Teacher, can you provide us with another example, please? If those sentences are written on the wall, I mean, not on the wall, right? On a poster that is on the wall, then you have great chances to avoid students to use native language in the class, which is not like, a sin. They are allowed to use native language, but you need to give them tools to avoid using Spanish. It's not that it is prohibited, right? Because they are not bilingual. It's just that according to the level that you're teaching, you must provide them with the tools for them to be able to express themselves in the situations that are present in the classroom. All right, good. And then this one is like a bonus, right? And why? Because I was, thinking about this, and I asked myself, why is this happening in the classrooms? And it is because teachers don't create opportunities for the students to speak. So this is why students don't speak, because sometimes teachers focus on filling out the book. They focus on grammar, which is good. I'm not saying don't focus on grammar, because we need to do it. But after students have consolidated their knowledge in grammar, it is the teacher's job to give the students opportunities to practice orally. Because what we do most of the time is, okay, I want you to write 10 sentences using simple present. Or I want you to write 5 sentences in negative form. Okay? And that could be homework. But in the classroom, make sure they practice. What is the difference between having them writing sentences and producing sentences orally? The difference is the processes that are taking place in the brain. Because if I have to write sentences, I'm relaxed. I can think about the sentence in Spanish and then translate it into English. I have time, to write, read, erase, change. But that's not the way communication happens. When someone asks you a question, you must answer immediately. right? And students want to get used to that way of producing English, right? And if we don't give them opportunities in the classroom, tell me, where are they going to have those opportunities? And this is something you guys know me because you have been we have been together in other trainings, but you know that I always say I don't want my students to tell me, Rogelio, I understand everything you say, but I don't speak. All right? Because the purpose of a language is communication. So, but before communication happens in the classroom, we need to make sure students know what? Vocabulary. And we want to teach vocabulary and make sure you're teaching the right amount of words per class. I have been in classes where teachers teach 25 words to students in a class. And I'm sorry, they don't teach the words. They show the words to the students. But do you think they learned half of those words? So focus on the vocabulary you want your students to use correctly for the lesson, for the unit, for the class. Okay? And make sure they understand what the word is. Make sure they pronounce the word correctly. And not only about sounds. Pronunciation is not only about sounds. It is also about stress. So I've heard a lot of students say secretary instead of secretary, mountain, instead of mountain. And it has to do with that, okay? And then also make sure they understand the meaning. They pronounce it correctly and they can use it in a sentence, simple sentence. Then, of course, pronunciation, I already talked about it, and structure, which is grammar. I don't like the word grammar, so I'm going to use structure, okay? Because it is important. However, if you want to provide feedback on structure, don't do it on the spot. I mean, do not interrupt students when they make a mistake. Let them finish, and after they have finished, or after they're done, you copy on the board the aspects that the student wants to improve. But you don't want to tell them, oh, Pedrito, you have to. No, I mean, it's like you're reteaching the topic. If it is third person singular, for example. Class, keep in mind that with he, she, and it, simple present, we add s or es to the verb. When do we add es? With verbs that end in o, s. Shh. Oh, perfect. Okay, fantastic. Okay, and Pedrito, it's gonna understand that. Okay, good. And this is something that I mentioned before, and it is the positive classroom that has to do with safety. What else? Engagement, connectedness, and support. Motivation needs to be present in the classroom, and please praise your students at all times. But at the same time, be honest with them. So it is not the same if you say good job, or if you say excellent, outstanding, wonderful, that was amazing, congratulations. You see? Because it's not the same for everybody. But students need to know that you're honest and that you recognize their effort. And that's why if it is not that good, you're going to go like, good. Right? If it was fantastic, you should use and other adjectives, right? So I'm gonna keep talking, but in the meantime, I want you to write in the chat box other adjectives that you use when you're praising your students. Okay? Good. And of course, this is what teachers like the most. This is what we teachers like the most, right? Planning. Oh, we really enjoy planning. Don't you? Okay. So, in order to guarantee everything that we have discussed, you want to plan, you want to take your time to make sure all of this is going to happen in the classroom. And after that, you come up with your activities. Okay. And this is what you're looking for. This is what you were waiting for, right? So, oh, I'm sorry. What's this? How do I? Okay. There you go. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to deal with my tools. Hold on. There you go. Oh, okay. So, the activities that I'm going to share with you are this: transactional dialogues, interactional dialogues, sentence competition, boosting sentences with conjunctions, IRFs, communication cards, and the guessing game. We also have a bonus, which is real life communication, and we're going to get into it, okay? Because I'm running out of time. So here we go. Okay. There you go. Transactional dialogues. You might be wondering what this is, and transactional dialogues are those dialogues that are predictable. They follow a structure. For example, if I answer this question in any classroom in Latin America, how are you today? I'm pretty sure that most likely the answer is will be, I'm fine, thank you. And you. Okay, so that is a transactional dialogue, right? Because we know that when we ask the question, we are waiting for the other people, or we're expecting, I'm sorry, the other person or people, depending, to give us an answer. Oh, pretty good, well, awesome, great, not that good, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, frustrated, tired, busy, right? Different types of answers. But we know where the conversation is going. What's your name? My name is Rogelio, my name is Carla, my name is Sofia, my name is Juan, right? We know what's going to happen here. How old are you? Or things like that. Okay. So, how are you? What's your name? Where do you live? I live in Guatemala. You live in Nicaragua. Some people live in Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, or the United Kingdom. Right? So, those are transactional dialogues. We are expecting something in return when we ask a question. And the last question that I'm using here, which is, do you have pets? It's going to start like a transactional dialogue. However, we can move it into an interactional dialogue, and that's where I want to focus today. So if I ask someone, hey, do you have pets? Yes, I do. But as a teacher, I'm going to keep asking, because this is a great opportunity for me to get the students talking in a natural environment, and not with a guide, not with a model. Of course, easy questions at the beginning, right? So, do you have pets? Yes, I do. What kind of pets do you have? Even if they don't understand, you can go, okay, are they dogs, cats, birds, fish? What is it they have at home? Oh, dogs. Oh, awesome. And how many dogs do you have? You can go, hey, how many? How many dogs do you have? I have 3 dogs. And what are their names? Sam, Leah, and Chloe. How often do you feed the dogs? Twice a day. And what do you like about your dogs? So here, when I'm asking this question, how do you like, I'm sorry, what do you like about your dogs? That's not control. That's gonna be an interaction, because I don't know what the answer is gonna be. It's probably I don't like dogs, or it's probably I love them, you know, but it can go anywhere. And those are interactional dialogues that we want to promote in the classroom. All right, good. Now, sentence competition. This is an activity that according to my opinion, it might not be true, but I came up with the idea, you know? Meaning I didn't saw it somewhere else, or no one told me about it, right? Paying attention to the students' need, I came up with this activity, and it is I have two students, or they're gonna be working in pairs, and you're gonna give them rules. Okay, right now we are going to make sentences using simple past. All right, sentences using simple past. It's not gonna be a story. It's just individual sentences, and I have Juanito and Maria. So Juanito is gonna say a sentence in simple past, and then Maria has 5 seconds to start a different sentence. Okay? If they start a sentence, for example, I played, and they make a pause there, they only have 5 seconds to complete the sentence. If they remain silent, it's going to be a point for the other person or for the other group, depending how you organize the competition in your classroom. Okay? So you have Maria. Yesterday I woke up at 5 in the morning. Pedro, yesterday I didn't have that breakfast. Then Maria, last week I met a friend. And then Pedro, 10 years ago I had an accident, you know? So they're just saying sentences, random sentences, but you want them to do here is to get used to the structure and to have them think in English. Because if you're having a time limit, they won't have any time to think in Spanish and then translate to English. Of course, depending on the English level of your students, they can be 10 seconds if you want at the beginning, but the objective or the goal here is to reach 3 seconds. All right? Good. Another activity, boosting sentences with conjunctions. You have probably tried out this activity, which is fantastic. I just loved it, and it works perfectly. Because students might share sentences like this. I always study for my tests. That's a sentence. And then another one is, yesterday I didn't study for my test. And another one could be, I am nervous. Those are basic, simple, standard sentences, right? However, if you want your students to, you know, get familiar with English and with longer or more structured sentences, you're going to teach them some conjunctions, right? Basic ones. But, because, so, right? And they will come up with a sentence like this. I always study for my test, but today or yesterday, in this case, I'm sorry, I always study for my test, but yesterday I didn't. So I am nervous. You see the difference? So most of the time, students are able to produce a sentence, but you want them to combine 2 or 3 sentences together to make one. All right? So this is what this activity is about, and this is how you're gonna make students produce. All right. Now, oh, I forgot. Okay, IRS. Here we're gonna have I forgot the word, but something that's gonna start an interaction. Okay, which is a question. What type of music do you like? Then you have a response. I like rock. And then the F stands for follow up. So this is similar to the interactional activity, right? I like rock. And then as a teacher, you're not going to be satisfied with that answer, right? So you're going to be like, okay, what's your favorite band? And here you start building up a conversation, right? One question, and students are going to give you one answer. And they're going to be like, relax. Ooh, I answered the teacher's question. However, you're going to surprise them because you're going to keep on talking. Okay, and that's what we're going to do with the IRFs. The next strategy is communication cards. And I just love this because you're going to have, again, pairs, because you know for communicative activities, you need to work in pairs or groups. Okay? And what happens, initialization is, yeah, I didn't remember that. Initialization. Someone is asking the I for the meaning of the I in the previous exercise. It is initialization, response, and follow-up. Okay, good. So now you're gonna give each student a card with some information. In this case, I have 3 activities, and all of them have, each of them has different objectives. As you can see, activity number 1 is turn a sentence into a negative form or into a yes/no question, or it could be into an information question or affirmative. If the original sentence is a negative sentence, then you can ask the students to turn the sentence into affirmative form. So student A is going to be here. Some students are going to be with the card, okay? And student A is going to be like this. Okay, student B, turn this sentence into negative form. I have been to Europe twice.
Sorry, Professor Chacon.
Yeah.
Due to the time is almost up, so I want to ask you to end up the presentation or your final comments on the presentation, because we have some questions from the department, right? So there are some questions that the teacher wants to ask to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, teacher, just if you want to add some final comments to your presentation to move to the questions.
Go ahead with the questions, and then after the questions, we'll see what are the comments needed.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to listen teachers from the South Caribbean coast of Nicaragua. So they have got a question. So teachers from Caribbean, South Caribbean coast, please go ahead. Okay, teachers from the Caribbean coast.
Yep.
So you're allowed to participate.
Good morning, Prof. Amin.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, in my case, according to this, the question what I did ask for, it helps me, it gives me a lot of strategies about how to promote students talking time, and most with those child that are shy. Because sometimes we try to suit them in the sense of encourage to talk to at least during the English class, but I don't know if they are so nervous that they can't answer you or what, but they help me with more strategies that don't have to make them involved directly and go getting those shyness apart.
Okay, awesome. This is a very often asked question when we're talking about communication. And this is why our class is not only an English class. We want to focus on developing the person. Okay? Because you don't want someone who speaks English but is not able to, for example, control their emotions, which is what we're talking about. Okay? So, to start with, I would say come up with activities that are going to teach the students, not teach, that are going to involve emotions in the activities and show them, ask them, hey, how did you feel? I was nervous. I was happy. It was fantastic. I was excited, and identify those emotions and then teach them how to deal with those emotions, right? That is the first tip. Second tip, like I said at the beginning, is get to know the students outside the classroom and let the students get to know you. Okay? Because sometimes it is not that the students are shy, it is that they're afraid of the teacher, like someone mentioned in the morning. So if you let them know you, that's going to be a different story. And it really, really works. I can guarantee you. Because look at me, look at this ugly face. My students, are like, I don't want to talk to him. But then at recess, I talk to them. I tell them that I'm a person. I tell them that I want to meet them. And when they understand that, they are going to be willing to participate in your class. And the third tip is the communication process has to be scaffolded. So you want to go step by step. Start from the very, very simple activities and then increase the level of difficulty little by little. All the suggestions that I provided you with today, they can be changed or they can be adapted to the level of the students. All right. So those are going to be my 3 tips, and we're going to give someone else the chance to ask another question. Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
We don't have any other questions, so you can add your final comments.
Okay, how much time do I have left? 2 minutes?
Okay, teacher.
How much time do I have left?
Okay, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Awesome, thank you. All right. So I'm gonna, take my comments to the last activities that I wanted to share with you, because I guess they are important. The guessing game is a guessing game in which you're going to ask the students to ask questions on a picture. Here I have a hidden picture. And I'm gonna tell the students, okay, ask me yes, no questions to find out what is in the picture. Are there animals? No. Are there people? Yes. Are there 5 people? Yes. Are they children? Yes. Are they adults? No. You know, questions like that. And at the end, you tell them, oh, you got it. There are 5 kids eating ice cream. All right. But students are going to come up with that idea with or by asking questions. And the bonus is at the end of the class, ask 3 to 5 topic related questions for the students to practice real life communication. So if you were talking about clothes, at the end of the class, you can go ahead and tell them, hey, what do you wear to go to school? What do you wear on the weekends? And what do you wear to bed? Okay, and that's going to promote communication in the classroom. So teachers, yeah, come up with a lot of great activities and tasks that I know that you do, but focus on getting to know your students and creating that positive environment in the classroom. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for the questions that you asked in the chat box. Just to clarify, because I don't know if everybody heard, IRF stands for Initialization, Response, Follow-up. Okay? It was my pleasure, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Chacon. We are more than honored for your participation. Thank you for such an interesting talk you have shared with all the teachers around Nicaragua. So now we're going to continue with the intervention of our last panelist. He is Professor Matthew Long from Macmillan Education. He is from United Kingdom, and he is going to be sharing with us the premise neuroeducation, attention in the classroom. So, Professor Long, we are more than ready to listen to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So yes, my name is Matthew Long. I'm from the UK, as you heard in the description. I teach English as a second language, as well as I am the head of English in my school here in Mexico City. So I've worked in the UK, South Korea, and now finally in Mexico City, in an English as a second language speaking environment. So I'm on the same page as you. I understand the frustrations, as all of the previous speakers have mentioned. So let me share my screen. Please feel free in this time to stand up, to stretch, to move around if necessary, because I'm fully aware that you have been sitting down for a long time. Your brain might be wandering in different areas, and you might need a little bit of a refresh, so that's fine. So yeah, neuroeducation, attention in the classroom is what I'm going to be talking about briefly today. So here is an image from Greg A. Dunn. This is an artistic view of the complexities of the brain. He uses sketchings influenced by Asian art. If you have the opportunity, please do go and check it. It's breathtaking to see the complexities of our brain. So first of all, what is neuroeducation? So it's the study that occurs in the brain when individuals learn, and the application of this knowledge to improve classroom instructional practices and optimize curriculum design. So what this means is it is the science of studying the brain and the application within the classroom contexts and understanding how the brain works to improve our instructions and our practices in the classroom. So first of all, is a little true or false. Please participate in the chat. I'd love to know your ideas, and then we'll share the answer together. Okay, so true or false? In the always connected to technology world students are now growing up in, attention spans are getting shorter. So the world we live in with cell phones, with social media, digital media, the brain of and the attention span, the ability to pay attention, is growing shorter. True or false? I'll give you 20 seconds to think, process, and then write. You may start. Okay, I'm seeing lots of comments saying true. Thank you for participating. I'll give you another 10 seconds if you have not yet participated. True, true, true. It seems to be a lot of true. Right, okay. So, and a little thumbs down. I'm assuming that means false. So let's have a look at the answer. The answer is false. This is an incorrect misconception that we have in response to technology. So if we're thinking about the brain and the evolution of the brain, there are no scientific studies, nothing that has told us that the attention of adults, but also particularly in our case, the attention of our students is getting worse. It is exactly the same. So unfortunately, we cannot use that as an excuse. However, the important fact to mention here is our attention is not decreasing. However, the competition for our attention is radically increasing. You all know clickbait, things on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok now are crying out for your attention. They're looking to get an emotional response to encourage you to click. So what's happening is that the competition for our attention is increasing. And that's a vital thing in our context to realize, because we need to make tasks and our classrooms in the correct climate to be to foster our attention on teaching. So all of this clutter, all of these additional things we need to streamline in our classroom. And I'm going to show you how. So this is taken from, let me go back. Dan Willingham, Why Don't Students Like School? So this is a very basic structure on how we learn, how the brain learns new information. So it starts off with your environment. As we've listened to in previous talks, the environment is crucial. We're going to talk about that later. But the way, this is also the input entering your brain with this new information. Then this goes to the active working memory. This is where awareness and thinking take place. This is your short-term memory, the processing that happens. And then there is a continuous attachment between active working memory and long-term memory. There are continuous processes, neurons connecting, firing, building more complex structures which form our long-term memory. So the problem is that in this structure, we have one area which is particularly weak. So here, as you can see, there is a limited capacity on what your active working memory can do. We overestimate the ability of our short-term memory and our active working memory. And I'm going to prove it to you in a moment. So our active working memory, this is the memory that processes the thoughts, the instant understanding before transferring it into long-term. This can only hold between 3 or 4 items for 10 to 15 seconds on average. Of course, sometimes it fluctuates. It can go up to 7 for adults. However, that is still extremely limited. And let's have a look now. So, a simple experiment which is on paper extremely easy to participate with and to get the correct answer. So at home, please say out loud or say it in your brain, say it in your head. Please do not write down anything for these 3 different prompts, okay? So this is your brain check, your working memory check. Please think about the answer, say it, do not write, okay? So first part, simple. Please say or think of your mobile number, your cell phone number, okay? I trust everyone's doing it. This is easy. This is an easy task because your brain has processed this information. It has stored it in long term. It has frequent connections going back and forth. It's instant, it's quick, and it's easy. However, let's test your working memory. In the second task, I would like you to say your mobile number backwards. Start from the last number, going backwards. Please remember, no writing. So normally in this experiment, this is where the brain begins to struggle. I'm sure many of you were able to complete the task using strategies, breaking it down, finding ways around it. But usually this is where the brain starts to think too much activity, too much is happening. And now the final test. Remember, these are all basic questions, but it's just to test your working memory. Say your mobile phone number backwards, subtracting 2 from each number, so -2. For example, my cell phone number, the last number is 4, so I need to subtract 2 to make it 2. If your number is 0, you need to go down to 8, so 0, 9, 8. So please practice, say it, no writing, your cell phone number backwards, subtracting 2 from each number. So this is the part where we start to investigate the limit of our active working memory. I'm sure some of you were able to do it. Congratulations. That is a good achievement. Once again, we'll be probably using strategies, but this is normally the limit to our working, no audio, to our working active brain. Okay, so that kind of demonstrates the limits that we have in our short-term memory, in our working active memory. So there's something I'm going to be talking about is cognitive load. Cognitive load is the active working memory, too much is happening at the same time. We've had this many times in our lives when you're sitting in a presentation, you're listening, but your head feels cloudy, it's foggy, your head's going to explode. That is a very high cognitive load. You're processing too much information than your working memory is able to handle. So cognitive load. These are some very simple, I'm sure some of you do these already, techniques to just reduce the cognitive load, okay? Because when we think about our students paying attention in class, we sometimes aren't aware of the cognitive load we're giving them and their ability to process, which leads to distraction, which leads to demotivation, okay? So number one, images. I've broken my rule already on the first slide. However, when we are presenting to students a concept and we're using images and texts and audio, it's too much. Our students are reading, so they're taking in the visual, the auditory from listening, but also the visual from the images too. It is too much, it's clogging. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's just increasing our capacity of our brain working memory, like how much it's processing, to a higher percentage. And we need this to be lowered to be able to give them space to work on different concepts, to think critically about different ideas. Okay, so images are a lovely way of lowering cognitive load. Second, concise instruction. As teachers, sometimes we forget our objective in our class. We just throw so many things at the wall and we just see what sticks. So even though we're trying to get to a basic objective or concept, our method and our journey to that objective gets very cloudy, as you can see in the image. So through concise instruction, focusing on your objective and leaving out the unnecessary areas that do not accomplish that objective, because information and deletes neurons from your brain for useless information. So we need to lower this and by giving concise instruction and concise methodology. Next one, the Goldilocks zone. Once again, something we are all familiar with. The three bears, too hot, too cold, just right. So of course, when we're considering about attention, we need to be in that just right section, okay? This can be achieved through differentiation because we have many different unique learners in our classroom, many different levels, but we need to be hitting that just right spot. Otherwise, our students are going to disengage. The cognitive level is either too high or too low. So once again, we want to be hitting that middle area. Once again, basic thing, however, something we need to focus on in our planning. And the last one is my favorite, analogies, okay? So I've spoken about the brain and I'm going to give you an analogy. So if you consider your brain, the environment, of course, is the computer. It's the input, it's how you plug it in. Does it have enough energy? Does it have enough charge? Is it being treated correctly? Are you downloading too many things that, maybe we don't need? So that's the environment. The working memory is our RAM. This is our processor. This allows us to open programs, search, basic thinking by typing in, open other programs, for example, Football Manager, I love. So once you open too many programs, you've got a game, you've got your internet open, you've got Netflix all playing at the same time, there's lag, there are delays. That is your cognitive load, that's your working memory, the RAM, okay? However, the RAM does not store memory. If you've been writing a beautiful presentation on neuroscience and the attention of our students, you need to save it. That goes onto the hard drive. The hard drive is your long-term memory. Those are the things that are stored, okay? So this is a kind of basic description. The processor needs to be running to be opening and accessing these stored documents, which is your long-term memory. That is how your brain works. So analogies in the classroom are critical for A, lowering cognitive load, and B, attention, because we've already discovered that our cognitive abilities for working memory are low. We need to assist that limitation. We need to assist that limitation by accessing and connecting to long-term memories, which are more stable thoughts. Okay, so I think I can. Oh, yeah, thank you. By using analogies, you're showing them new information, but you're connecting the working memory to the long-term memory and making connections so that they can start to build on this new concept or new ideas, because that is what the brain does. It is a constant rotation and process from short-term to long-term memory. And that is how we build stable memories, which is learning. Okay, so analogies lower the cognitive problems and limitations and access quickly the long-term. So there are more problems as we have, sorry, let me just delete this. As we have discovered and spoken about in some of our other sessions, our environment is critical for our students. So if your environment, as we've spoken about before, is not correct, students will not learn. That is a very physical problem with the brain, and I'm going to explain to you right here. So well-being, in terms of our environment and how we learn, can be categorized to three main umbrella terms. So belonging, as we've listened to earlier, this is how the student identifies in the classroom. There are no threats, as we listened to, and having a trusted adult, someone they can connect with, to make sure the student feels that they are safe, seen, known, listened to, heard, and believe that their story is unique. If a student does not feel part or belonged in the class, learning is going to be a bigger barrier. It's going to be much more challenging. Emotion and cognition. I've spoken about the brain here. So this is a physical, this is a drawing of our brain. And here you can see the amygdala, which is the small part that's highlighted here, is what controls emotion. The hippocampus is where the memory is stored and processes. These two, you can see, are directly linked. They are directly connected. So if our emotions are not in check, if we are too run over by personal problems, the amygdala is going to block this. You can see they are literally the same part of the brain. Amygdala always wins.
Minet Diriomo, please turn off your microphone, please. Sorry,
Thank you so much.
Matthew. So
no, it's okay. Thank you for your help. So I'll continue. Stress. So of course, some levels of stress can be good. Some levels of stress can be motivating for children. And for myself, this presentation, I had a deadline. It was a motivation, that natural level of stress. However, we need to limit the amount of stress our students are feeling, whether that be academic or non-academic. So the brain and learning factors in many different areas. Sleep is critical to long-term memory. Exercise, nutrition are all key parts. However, if we think about the workload as teachers, how much we're giving them, how much stress we're putting on them, are we telling them there's a grade? That will impact their performance and learning. The quality of instruction and classroom climate as well. How can we... Sorry, I hear some background noise.
Sorry, teacher. Minet Esquipulas, please turn off your microphone.
Thank you so much. Also, how can we mitigate the stress? Is we can give them simple things in our practice, like brain breaks. Once again, the cognitive load, it needs to cool down the engines. We need to stop the overheating of our computer. Mindful practices, are we including meditation in our instruction? Are we getting the brain in just the right condition to allow learning to happen? So I'm not going to break my rule and read to you. However, please feel free to take a screenshot or photo about the well-being of our brains being critical to learning. And finally, if your cognitive load can take it, and I really hope that it can. There is a final gem of a tip that I'm going to give, is active learning is key. We need to be looking at our active learning opportunities in our classroom to make sure that our students are engaged, that they are participating. Okay, so here you can see an MRI scan of passive learning against active learning. Passive learning on the left, active learning on the right. Of course, we can see on the right, the brain is responding, more neurons are being fired, there is more activity in the frontal cortex and around the brain when we have active learning. These can be learning through play, play-based learning, where we're playfully teaching, for example, activities. If we're teaching about, we're doing a listening task about the weather, why can't students dress up, pretend to be the weatherman, record a newscast? Learning through play. That's going to activate the brain in such different areas that otherwise don't happen. My favorite, project-based learning, where we are taking a concept and we are expanding it. So this MRI scan was actually taken from problem-based learning. Problem-based learning is something that I specialize in, and it is the kind of cousin of PBL, where we're asking our students to solve problems within our classroom. Yes, of course, using the English language. Yes, of course, using our material that we're teaching. However, by presenting a problem to our students, the brain really responds in different ways. Talk for writing, another active learning strategy. It's quite obvious. First of all, we're encouraging our students to talk, then we're encouraging our students to write. So, for example, my first graders are reading the book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. We learn, we memorize, we repeat, long-term memory, that story, and then I'm asking them, okay, but what about the very hungry shark? So then we can change it to the prey of the shark, the environments, ecosystems, life cycles. There are so many different areas through talk for writing that we can use. And finally, of course, use of technology. Students, as we know, are obsessed with technology, and we shouldn't omit education from this. All students, well, most students have access to a cell phone, no matter how basic. They can create trailers. They can create this weathercast. They can create a news report. Once again, similar to play through learning through play, but we're using technology as an aid. Robotics is a huge one in terms of active learning, if we have the capacity and access to those. So, that is my...
Sorry, Teacher Chacon. So due to the time, we need you to end up the presentation because we have gotten some questions from different places around the country. So there's a question for you.
Sure. That's fine. I just finished anyway, so please feel free to ask the questions.
Perfect, teacher. So we have some teachers from Managua municipality. So District 7. So teachers, go ahead with your question. Mister, we cannot listen into you. Teachers from Nawa? There is no audio, teachers from Manawa. Check it out, your connection, please.
I can quickly see a question in the chat asking if I speak Spanish. A little bit.
Yes.
However, I
Do
wanted
you speak Spanish?
Sí, hablo un poco, pero no mucho.
No, you're an expert.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning.
I hope you can hear the Mexican accent. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Now. We are listening to you, so please go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I am really sorry because of the delay. Thank you so much for the opportunity given. My name is Teacher Christopher Mendoza. I am from District 7, Managua. It is a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity given. It was a really interesting model talking about cognitive strategies that we can use in the classroom. As you know, we as teachers, we have different learning styles.
Yeah.
My question for you is, what is the biggest challenge for neuroeducation during the learning process? What is the biggest challenge?
What is the biggest challenge?
For neuroeducation during the learning process.
So the biggest challenge I find is there's something called bias. So when our students read something, they automatically think that they have learned it. So there's this confidence that they have learned something that they've read or seen even once or twice. So that kind of misconfidence, that kind of not arrogance, but that confidence that they have learned when they actually haven't is the biggest challenge. So the way we can use that to our advantage is through the teaching. So formative assessments, pop quizzes, to use repetition. So once again, we're connecting the long-term memory. So students, if they've read something a few times, they are confident they've learnt it, but usually they haven't. So it's by reinforcing through quizzes, not formal tests, but pop quizzes, to get them accessing that memory to build stronger links. That's the biggest problem. Our own conception that we think we've learned, but we haven't. You're on mute, however, thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, teacher, for your question. And thank you, Professor Long, for your answer. Well, you see, it was a huge honor, a big pleasure for us listening to your presentation, such an interesting talk. Teacher, one more time, thank you. So we are ending up your presentation. And now, teachers, we have the conclusion of this colloquium, right? So we are going to need two participation, right? So you already have access to the conference. So please raise your hand, and we are going to conclude with two participation. So what do you think about thematics? What did you learn? What are the main achievements of this colloquium, teachers? Okay, we will have the participation of teachers from the North Caribbean coast of Nicaragua. Teachers, are we ready? Teachers from the North Caribbean coast of Nicaragua, are you there? Okay, another participation, teachers from León, maybe?
Hola.
Okay, excellent, teacher. So please turn on your camera.
What? Ya está iniciado, creo. No puede.
Our camera doesn't work.
It doesn't work our camera. Ellen.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's very
We have
nice.
problem with the video.
Well, to begin, my name is Rodolfo Anastasio Centeno Peralta. I'm an English teacher. I'm from Nicaragua, and I live here in the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua, exactly in Mulucucu Township. Okay. Well, according to the first presentation that was given and explained and shared at the same time, at the very beginning, I have a question. In order to be more professional for a better future and in order to help to our students a better quality in education, when it comes to the English language, that in fact, I must recognize that it is such an important language, all right? So could you help us? Because we would appreciate it a lot. Could you help us to go to study abroad? Could be if we have the golden or great opportunity to be sponsored with at least 6 months to have the opportunity to study abroad could be an excellent idea in order to become more professional when it comes to the English learning and teaching process. That's my question. Thanks for this excellent and wonderful opportunity.
Okay, please turn off your microphone. Okay, thank you, teachers. Okay, well, actually, thank you for your questions. So we're going to think of it. So, but actually, we don't have an answer right now. So thank you, teacher, for your participation. We are going to let you know so how we can solve your doubt or your question, right? So, but for now, we want you to give us or provide us with conclusion of the colloquium. How did you see the presentation? Were they effective for you, or are you going to apply what you have learned in this colloquium or this session into your classroom? So that kind of conclusion we need, right? So we're going to have one participation. So teachers, just let us know what are the biggest achievements of this colloquium or session that we have had today.
Okay, yes, to finish this excellent opportunity, let me tell you that I'm so proud to be here, to be part of this first colloquium in our country, Nicaragua. And I'm definitely thrilled because I learned a lot today. It's my first time here, yes, as I mentioned before. I have been working as an English teacher in primary education for 4 years approximately. So this is an excellent event. Let me congratulate you to all of you, right? And all the different participants that have been connected today, right? So in conclusion, I must point out that I learned a lot, and I will surely apply different strategies and techniques that I learned today in this colloquium. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr., for your appreciation of the colloquium. So you see, now we will have the conclusion part on charge of teacher Brian Baye, the National Pedagogical Advisor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, teacher. So, okay, wait a minute. Okay, thank you, teacher Hami. We are going to finish with this colloquium, this wonderful activity. So we want to say thank you one more time for sharing all the information to the expert, national and international expert. I know that will be helpful for the teachers and advisors, and we can apply it in our educational context. So now, as I told you at the beginning, I will keep my promise, right? At the beginning, we had an activity, a warm-up activity that you had to take some photos using the hashtags powerful teachers, strong teachers, excited teachers, and teachers into action. Now let's watch the results. Okay, we are going to present a video and hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna share the video in the WhatsApp groups. And now we are going to finish. We wanna say thank you for being part of this fantastic activity. We finish, and now I ask you to stand up and let's listen the educational national anthem, okay?